in this video we're going to look at how to create a one-point perspective drawing. We'll do a simple box just to demonstrate just now, but of course you can use the techniques to draw other things as well. One-point perspective is a good way of making your drawings look more three-dimensional and more realistic, and are particularly suitable for things like interior design and some products as well, although you'll see that it's a fairly limited view. I'm going to be using a sharp HB pencil and a ruler marked in millimeters, although we won't be doing a lot of measuring in this exercise. I've got A4 paper in front of me. If you're in school, of course, you might use A3 paper, perhaps even on a drawing board, but if you're at home, this kind of setup is something that most people will have in their houses. So we're going to use A4, and we're going to draw a box down here in one-point perspective. The first thing we need to do when doing any kind of perspective drawing is to set up the horizon. The horizon is roughly in line with where your eye line is. If you looked at something that was below the horizon, then it would look smaller. Something above the horizon might be look bigger, like a building. But we're going to do something down below the horizon, and I'm going to draw the horizon first of all. And I'm going to draw the horizon parallel to the top edge of the paper. And the easiest way to do that, to get a parallel line, is to measure twice. So I've just measured 60 millimeters there, put a little tick, go across to the other side, 60 millimeters there, put a little tick, and then join those two little ticks up, and of course you will then get a parallel line, a line parallel to the edge of the paper. Now, I'm not going to use that technique for everything in this drawing because we'll be here for a long time if I do that, but hopefully you can see that that's a good way of creating a parallel line. I'm going to write horizon on that, just to remind me of what that actually is. Okay, the next thing we need to do then, if you know anything about perspective, you will know that lines appear to converge on a vanishing point. And one-point perspective is a single vanishing point. I'm going to put that roughly in the middle of our horizon. So that is our vanishing point. So I'll just put VP on that, just so we remember what that is, what it's called. And then I'm going to draw two lines to that vanishing point. So these represent the sides of the box. I'm going to take them roughly down to the corners of the page. And I'm going to draw them quite lightly. Now I'm drawing so that you can see. You could draw even lighter than this. The lighter you draw your construction lines, the less rubbing out you'll have to do at the end. So there's my two lines going to the vanishing point. So that represents the sides of the box. The next thing I'm going to draw is a horizontal line, and I think I will measure down. I'll measure down 20 millimeters from the horizon, each side, and I'll join them up like that. So that gives me the horizontal line. That represents the back of the box, if you like. Let's draw the front of the box. Now, an easy way of doing this is to use the ruler to help you line it up. So I can see that that's parallel to that. So I'm going to draw the front of the box like that. My ruler's got a bit of a dent in it, but never mind. So I'll just put that in properly. There we go. So that represents the front of the box, and then I'm going to do the two sides, the two vertical edges, and they need to be vertical. So I'm going to make sure they're vertical relative to the paper, just judging that by eye. One there, and one there. So they represent the two vertical sides of the box, and then I'm going to draw the front edge of the box about there. Okay, so now you can see we've got the top of the box and the front of the box. We can't see the sides because this is one-point perspective and it doesn't lend itself to that kind of view. Now that I've laid that in quite lightly, I'm going to go over the edges and firm them up a little bit. can see we've got the top of the box and the front of the box and the two sides. Now we could take that a little bit further. We could make the box look like it's a hollow box, perhaps made of MDF or something like that, the kind of thing we might make at school. To do that then, I'm going to put a back edge in, just parallel to that back face like that. I'm going to put a front edge in. Now that'll be a little bit further away than that one because it's slightly closer to us, so it'll appear larger. If I flip my ruler over, I can judge that more accurately. Do it like that. And then I'm going to put the sides in. Now the sides need to be travelling towards a vanishing point. So something like that. And this is where the perspective really starts to work. Yeah. So you can see that those sides are getting narrower as they're going back, and that's because of the perspective. I can then drop in the verticals at inside back edges like that, and then I'll take roughly from that point there to the vanishing point. That will give us the inside face of the box. It's not quite as it would be, but it's close enough for what we're doing here. And then I can join those two lines up. They should be horizontal, those 2 points up, and there we go. We've got an inside to our box as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fatten up the lines where there's an edge that disappears, if you like, and I'm going to just tighten up those lines where I can see either side. And you'll see what I mean. It gives a much more three-dimensional effect. Right, so you can see now that we have our three-dimensional tray or box. It's got an inside and it's in 1 point perspective. It's got one vanishing point like that. Now one quick check, it's always worth doing with any perspective drawing. Are your lines going where they should be going? So are the verticals vertical? Yeah, these are fine. Are the horizontals horizontal? Yeah, they're fine. And are the other lines all going to the vanishing point? Yeah, they are. Okay, they shouldn't be going anywhere else with a simple box like this. If you've got a line going off at some angle like that, then it's going to look wrong. A good way of checking is just to flip your drawing over. If it looks right upside down, it's probably fine. Moving it upside down can highlight any problems with your drawing. So there you have a simple box or tray in 1 point perspective. You can now use those techniques, the single vanishing point, the horizon. You can now use those techniques with the thick and thin lines as well to draw other objects, or perhaps the interior of a room, furniture, and things like that.